Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be creating validation rules in Salesforce. I've kind of have a notepad here of what we're going to create. We're going to create a validation rule on an account that'll flag if the annual revenue is greater than $20 million. We're going to create a validation rule for formatting a phone number on a contact, and I have a bonus third validation rule that we're going to create at the end of the video together. But if you haven't already done it, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my video, and let's just jump straight into it. So to create a validation rule, you're going to go into Object Manager, and whatever object you're wanting to create the validation rule for, you're going to go to that object. So the first one we're going to do is an account. Look all the way down at the bottom, and you're going to see validation rules. And right now, I have no validation rules set up for the account object. Now, what I'm wanting to do is we're going to go over to an account, Express Logistics and Transportation here. And if you look on the details, you see this annual revenue field. We're going to pretend and make a, kind of a test scenario here that if the annual revenue for an account is greater than 20 million, we're going to have a validation rule come up and say, please create a priority account. We're going to go ahead and create one here. So back on this page here in setup, we're going to hit new to create a new validation rule. So we're going to call this greater than, we'll just call it greater than 20 mil. You can call it whatever you want. You can add a description. You can see I already have the active checkbox. So this is actually where you're going to be setting up the conditions. So they got some really cool tools here. They have an insert field, and you can see we're on the account object. You can see here, go to annual revenue. We're going to insert this field. All right, insert, so annual revenue. You can also type this out. And then we have an operator. We're going to do greater than. And they also have greater than or equal to down here if you need it. But greater than, and what did I say? $20 million. Now, you're going to need to just put it in. You can't put it in this format. So like 20, comma, and add your zeros in. You're going to get you can check the syntax, and then you're going to get an error message. It's like, yo, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. So we need to take out the commas, and don't put a money sign in the front either. It won't like that. So check the syntax, no errors, right? So that is awesome. And then this right here is the error message that you want to display. I want to say, please create a high priority account. All right, so the error message we can either display at the top of the page or by the field. If you select field, you can come down here, annual revenue, and hit save. Oh, we got an error message. Oh, and look at that. I made a mistake here. That's the great thing. It'll tell you what you did wrong, and you can't have the money sign in the name either. So my bad on that too. All right, perfect. Sorry about that. All right, so we got the rule name, and all that is active. So let's test it out. So right now it's set up for under $1 million, or right at $1 million. We're going to put in 20 million. So $20 million and hit save. All right, cool. So it did not fire our validation rule. Now I want to make it $1 more. Well, there we go. Please create a high priority account. So that is awesome. And I just wanted to mention it. Technically, this validation rule, the way it's set up right now, will fire on all record types for accounts. I'm aware of that. You can set it up to fire on different record types. There is a more advanced formula, but really, I just wanted to have this validation rule fire if the dollar value is increased over a certain amount. But that's the way that validation rule works. All right, so now we're going to move on to our second validation rule on the contact object. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to go back to Object Manager, and we're going to type contact. and we're going to create a new validation rule. So what we're doing is on a contact, I'll go to the details. Right now, we don't have a validation rule set up for the phone number. If someone forgets a digit and they hit save, right now it'll let them save that. I want to set up a validation rule so that whenever someone inputs the phone number in, it has to be 10 digits in the phone number format. So we're going to create a validation rule for that. So we're going to call this contact phone number. Now you can add a description, but we're not. So I'm not going to pretend that I actually know the formula to do this. I know that we need to use under advanced the regex function or regex function, and it's used to check the formatting of what it could be like social security or phone number, zip code, whatever type of formatting, and that's the function you'll want to use. But a very good resource is help.salesforce.com. They actually have sample contact validation rules, and the link is in the description for this. They already have one set out for US phone numbers, has to have 10 digits. So we're going to actually use this. So let's just go ahead and copy it, and we're going to go over here and put this into our error condition formula. Now, one thing you want to make sure you do is if your phone field is called something else, you're going to want to make sure you change this. For us, our field is called phone. If I was doing this for mobile, then I would want to go into my insert field and change it to the mobile phone. But in my case, this is set up perfectly fine. We can check the syntax. There are no errors, which is awesome. And we're going to put an error message that says, please, and or we'll say, actually, phone number format must be, we'll do it just like Salesforce. And we'll do it at the top of the page this time instead of by the field. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. So this is actually a great point. I'm glad I did this. So when you create a validation rule that's active, you see how this is not 10 digits. It's not going to fire on that record till it's updated and saved again. That's when that validation rule is going to fire. So even if I go in and hit edit and change the mobile number, it's going to fire our validation rule on that field, which is awesome. It says phone number format must be this. So we're going to add in a digit, hit save. Look at that, saved it. If you go in and you're missing a digit here, sorry, boom, nice. Now, unfortunately, with the validation rule we have set in, if someone goes in and removes the parentheses, it will let them save it because technically that validation rule is only looking for 10 digits. So that is one disadvantage there. And I'm sure there is a validation rule that you can find out there online that would require, you can make it required to do the parentheses as well. But I'm just using the sample here to show you guys you can actually go out here to Salesforce help.salesforce.com and find some great validation rules. Like this one's for mailing zip code, mailing street is required. So yeah, it's pretty cool. The link's in the description for this. And the bonus validation rule, we're going to make a field required. I know that sounds crazy because you can actually do that. You can make a field required. We're going to go back to the account, and this is just more for practice, getting used to using the formulas on the invalidation rules. So under the details, you can make these pick list values. You can do validation rules on them, but sometimes Salesforce is kind of weird with pick list values. So I'm actually going to make that the employee number of employees right here. Has to have a value. It cannot be blank. All right, so we're going to go back to the account. So object manager account validation rules. There's our greater than 20 million validation rule. So this is going to be number of employees. And this is a very, very simple formula. So we're actually going to go into logical. I love the drop down here. So They have a bunch here. Let's just take a quick look. Blank value, case, if, is blank, is null. I'm going to use the is null because remember, this has to evaluate to true. So I want to insert selected function, and it says the expression. So is null. I'm just going to highlight expression and go to the insert field, and then we're going to look at employees. Employees, insert. We're just going to go ahead and check that syntax. No errors are found. You can see it doesn't matter if I take that space out. It's all good. And we're going to say, please input the number of employees. And then I want it by the field again. So this is kind of cool. You have to select what field you want it by, and we want it by the employee field. And we're going to hit save. Okay. And we're going to hit save. Now let's test it out. So we're going to make this nothing there. Now let's see what happens. Whoa, please input the number of employees. All right, let's put 54. Boom, saved it. And you try to put in 0, it'll take it because it thinks it's a value. That's the only thing that validation rule isn't picking up, that it's not looking at the value. You probably could do a mathematical function that says like greater than 0, which we could try that in a second. But right now, the way I have it set up is only to look if it has to have a value in there. That's all it's saying. But you probably can do this. Let's just try this out together. And let's just go ahead and delete out the formula we have in there now. So over here in the functions, we have the logical. So and, if we have an and function, that means every logical check has to be true for the validation rule to fire. But if we use or, it doesn't matter. We just need one of the 2 or 3, however many we set up to trigger to fire the validation rule. So what's our first check we want to do? We're going to check first if the employee field is less than or equal to 0. That's our first check. And our other check is going to be the is null. Insert. I'm just going to grab that employee field, put it in here. Perfect. And I'm going to take away, we don't have any more logical checks. Check syntax. No errors. Save. And let's check this out. So right now, I have none in there. So I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to hit save. Look at that. Now, I didn't change the error message, but please input the number of employees. Let's try to put 0 in. Save. Ooh, good. So we can't have 0. If we're putting in an account, it makes sense. There has to be at least 1 employee, right? We're going to hit 1. It saves. Perfect. So our validation rule is working great. And I know I kind of went fast through that, but I'll explain it again. So what this formula is saying, it says, if the number of employees is less than or equal to 0, fire this validation rule. Or if it is blank, if there's no value in that field, then fire this validation rule. And that's the beauty of using the or function. One or the other can be true. If it's the and function, that means the number of employees would have to be less than 0 or equal to 0. And there would have to be a blank for it to fire, which makes no sense. So setting it up this way works perfect. I hope everyone found value in this. I know these are dummy scenarios that I kind of made up and they don't make a ton of sense, honestly. But it is a great way in your Trailhead org, especially if you're studying for your Salesforce admin certification. You need to know how validation rules work and just some of the basics of how to insert these functions. I know on the test they're going to ask you about under advanced the regex. That'll come up on your test most likely. And it's just a way of formatting phone numbers, social security numbers, credit card numbers. You can use that function. So make sure you understand that. But this is a great way to learn. You're going to set up validation rules as a Salesforce admin. And this is a great way to practice in your Trailhead org. So if you found this video helpful and you made it this far, leave a comment in the description. Let me know what you think. I reply to all my comments. So Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.